as in Pussy Boy podcast. Today I have a guest with me. This is Keith Jaxon.
I'm Rachel's big brother, essentially, at this point.
Kind of, basically, a little bit. A big brother that kind of wants to fuck me, but it's okay.
That was completely out of pocket to start this shit off.
Fuck it. Anyways,
Yeah.
If you guys are new here, basically this podcast, which I know Keith, I just kind of threw this on him. He doesn't even know why he's here right now.
Yeah.
He's visiting.
We were just supposed to go watch the Kings game 6 against Golden State. And
yeah. And
now
like,
I'm in this podcast with her, so it is what it is. I'm okay with it. But
Yeah.
you do need to rename it. Secure the Bag is a little
Anyways,
sus.
I don't think it's sus.
It's a little,
we're back. So
it's a
I'm
little
gonna tell
corny.
you. I'm gonna tell you. Okay.
It's a little corny.
So for 4 years, I was a stripper on and off, like in different states. And for those 4 years, I didn't tell a single soul. Like my parents didn't know, my best friends didn't know, like my closest like associates, like no one knew.
Yeah, because I was friends with you for what, like 2 years during that time?
Yeah, you even
2-3 years.
You even came to Vegas and
you
had no idea.
I had no idea.
Not even like a slight.
I didn't even know what you did for work. I was told for some reason I never asked you, but I was told by your really close friend that you did some sales or some you worked for some nonprofit company.
Exactly. That was
and
my
I was always so curious because I know you did Airbnb on the side, so you had to have like some income to be able to fund that.
Yeah.
But I never asked you. I never added up the dots about how you knew everybody in Vegas. And then we come to your retirement party and you spilled the beans on everybody there. It was pretty it was funny.
It was sick.
It was funny.
Savage.
I didn't expect it all. It was completely out of the blue to me, but
You loved it?
yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah.
It was a good time. We had
Good
a good
shit.
time
That
weekend.
makes, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
shit. So, because I didn't tell anyone about the fact that I was a stripper for 4 years, I basically, like, if I ever had to vent, like, there was a lot of crazy nights, like, ups and downs. There was a lot of alcohol. There was a lot of emotions. So, whenever I would have a bad night or even a great night, I had really, like, no one to talk to except for people that I worked with, obviously, but
Yeah.
I really wasn't close with anyone. So, instead of, like, going and telling people my business or, like, venting, I would go and I would basically, like, discuss on, like, a Google Doc, like, this is what happened tonight.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how it started. I started doing that back when 6 months in. I was like, I need a way to, like, vent and somehow also kind of remember this shit. So I started, like, putting everything on a Google Doc, and then it turned into, like, things to remember, like, tips. And then it turned into just, like, how my night was. And then it turned into, like, how much money I made that night and how my night was. And then it just turned into, like...
Did you start recording podcasts during that time?
No. I told myself, because I didn't want to post it. I didn't want anyone to know. I didn't want to come out about it. So I told myself, I'm just going to continue to, like, put everything on paper. And then once I quit, I'll probably turn it into a podcast. So that way, you know how many fucking episodes I'll have? Like, I'll literally have, like, 400.
So what's the mindset behind keeping it a secret for so long, but then, like, once you quit, you come out about it? It doesn't really make sense to me.
Really? Why does it not make sense?
Because you could have been putting in the work on the podcast this whole entire time, telling all these crazy stories on your Google Docs while you were doing it, instead of waiting until after you're already done in the business and now you're talking about it.
Yeah.
Like, what's the mindset behind
Because I felt like if I was to create the podcast while I was doing it, it would more so, like, make it real for me. So for that entire time, no one knew. I felt like I was living a double life. It was hard at first to keep it a secret, but then after a while, it became pretty seamless and easy. It was like, it was just living a lie, basically. But it was like a fun lie, you know what I mean? And it's a lie where, like, not a lot of people are judging me after I come out, which I didn't think would happen anyway. But
See, that's why I'm curious. Like, were you worried about that while you were in it?
I was worried about people finding out because I didn't want other people to find out from anyone besides me. That was my biggest thing. And that's why I kept it very close-knit. I didn't tell anyone because it's none of their business. It's my business. And I like the fact that people aren't in my business while I'm doing it. You know what I mean? Like, you can ask me any question in the world now about what I did, what happened, everything. I'll own up to it 100%. I'll tell you everything. You could ask me anything. I'll tell you anything. But, like, if I was to create the podcast, I'd be too worried about, like, someone seeing it, people finding out, like, from anyone besides me, basically, you know, like, directly from me. Like, on top of that, I didn't want, if somehow it came across to, like, one of my jobs and, like, obviously I was talking about somebody, like, the fuck? Like, I'm not trying to get fired. Like, you know what I mean?
That makes sense.
So it's, like, one of those things where I'm like, okay, I'm done. I have no problem talking about anything. So that's
your plan with this podcast, is to go back through all your Google Docs about all your crazy stories and just, like, bring them back to life?
Yeah.
All right. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, you like that?
Yeah, it's a good idea.
So basically we talked about what I used to think was my best night. This was like about less than a year of me stripping. I made like $4,000 in one night at one of the clubs that I worked at in a certain city. And
Do you have a name the cities?
do I name the cities, Izzy? I say the city names, Vegas, but I don't say the club names. So, but the thing about it, like some of these reflections are really short. So like if I let the nights build up where I like get so drunk or like fucked up where I don't want to write that night, I'll like go and I'll write the next night, or I'll like pack them all into one.
But you'll forget some things.
Yeah, and I make it like quick because I'm like, I don't want to fucking type this shit out. You know, unless it's like a really crazy night. Like there's a lot of nights that are boring. Not every night is fucking.
Nights of a few $1,000s, no big deal.
No, I've made $0 in a night.
You made $0 in a night?
Yeah.
Damn.
Isn't that like, that's a normal thing? I don't know why I'm saying, isn't that normal? What the fuck, you won't know? No, if you're a stripper, you know, like $0 is like, it's happened to everyone. If you've worked long enough, you know. And honestly, it's not even that $0's normal. You could really make money, like any night you want. But sometimes when you're working, like if you walk in and you're just not feeling it, you can just go home. Like, okay, I'm not feeling it, like I'm gonna go. Like there's one club that I did work at where they required us to work at least 6 hours, and you're gonna make money, like period.
Yeah,
but at the same time, it's like you walk in and you're like, fuck, I have to be here for 6 hours. I don't want to fucking be here.
They made you? It was like mandatory?
I mean, not mandatory, but they'd fire you. Like you couldn't come
Really?
back. Yeah, that's one of the reasons I got fired.
How long did you last at that one?
The
2 days? The 2 days?
No, this one was actually the most forgiving out of all the clubs I've worked at. So this club is in Vegas, and
Rhino?
I started working. Huh? What'd you say?
Said Rhino or
Spearmint
whatever.
Rhino.
Yeah,
Spearmint Rhino is a very interesting club.
I just remember there was one club with the name Rhino in it. I don't remember.
Well, there's the one that we went to, which is like the rival of it. Like an actual person used to work. You know, I can say the fucking names, but I'm not gonna say the names of the places that I worked, right? But I mean, I guess I don't know. I don't want to get sued. I feel like people would try to sue and shit for any reason.
Well, you were 1099 on every job, right?
Doesn't matter. It doesn't mean they can't fucking sue my ass.
I don't think they could.
I guess whatever. Anyway,
Don't matter.
but we went to. Don't quote me on this tomfoolery and this tea right here, but basically. Peppermint Hippo came about because someone worked at Spearmint Rhino. They were like a manager there. They didn't like the way that ownership was treating the managers, or they didn't like the way that things were going on.
Okay.
So what they did is they went and they created their own club, Peppermint Hippo. You got it? 'Cause
yeah.
Spearmint, Peppermint,
Yeah.
Rhino, Hippo.
Okay.
You got it? Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So I worked at this certain club in Las Vegas, and it was like right before I had gotten fired from like my first main club in Vegas. So like I worked at like one main club. So this is actually funny because the actual blog, whatever you want to call it, my reflection that I was gonna read out today if you weren't here, which I can also read it now.
You can just read it right now.
Basically, like how I found out about like how good Vegas is. Like everyone knows like Vegas is known for strip clubs, but I had never walked into a strip club prior to being a stripper. Never once. So it's like I go into these clubs, I have no idea what to expect. I'm over here thinking people are doing fucking coke in the bathroom, coke in the rooms, girls getting raped and shit. I'm thinking it's dirty as fuck. Yeah, like right, that's the perception based off of like movies and shows and just people talking, right?
Yeah.
So like that's my thought process on it. But I ended up working at this club in the Bay Area. That was like how I got my start. I worked there day shift and then I transitioned to night shift. I feel like you know this. But anyways,
yeah, go on.
when I was working day shift, a woman came in the middle of the day with her husband, and they were just there, like I think visiting or something. And she was like, you know, you should really be working at this certain club in Vegas. And I was like, really? How do you know about that club? You know? And she was like, oh, I used to be the makeup artist for the girls. Because in certain clubs, they have hair people and they have makeup people. They'll be there during that night, and if you want to go to them to get your hair and makeup done, all you have to do is like tip them, or they charge a minimum, and then that's how they make their money.
That's
so
smart.
yeah.
Smart.
So when I was in New York, a lot of people did that, but in Vegas, I really didn't see it that much.
You worked in New York too?
I worked in New York, yeah. Yeah, I worked everywhere, man.
I'm finding out a lot.
I worked basically everywhere, except for Florida. Anyways.
That's surprising.
I'm really mad I didn't.
I'm really surprised you didn't.
I kind of wish I did.
Like
but
Miami for sure would have been like.
Miami didn't like me. I think it's because I was drunk at the time. I would go in like kind of tipsy.
Makes sense.
What a shit show. Anyways, that was my last year of dancing. But anyway, okay, next.
Back on track.
Back on track. So she had walked in and she was like, you should be in Vegas. And I was like, okay, what club should I work at? And she named a club. And I was like, why that club? She's like, I'm telling you right now, if you were to leave the club on a Tuesday without making anything over $1,000, like if you were to make less than $1,000 on a Tuesday, you'd be pissed. I'm like,
Dang.
you're fucking lying. And again, I was working day shift in the Bay Area at the time, like slowly transitioning to night shift because.
So you probably weren't making that much at the time.
Well, the most I had made in like a day shift day,
Yeah.
that I can remember. I'm sure like if I go back, I might be able to find something. But the most I made in like a day shift day was 600. Not horrible, right?
Yeah.
It was on a Friday. I remember the guy. He was giving me some money, you know. but before that,
Shout out that guy wherever he's at.
period. Before I went to Vegas, I remember I worked all day during the day, and then I transitioned to night shift, like where I worked at a different club. So at that point, I was already getting familiar with night. Like, because when I first started, the manager didn't want me working night because he said it's like throwing a goldfish to the sharks. Because I had no idea what the fuck I was doing again.
It'd be pretty crazy and you wouldn't know what to do.
I had never, and I used to be afraid of going to private rooms for like the first 6 months.
Pussy
literally.
girl.
Pussy girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was not like a pussy girl, like not popping that pussy, but I was like a pussy.
Yeah,
you know
you're
what I
a
mean?
pussy girl, yeah.
I was definitely a pussy girl. So I was like afraid of rooms. I thought like I wouldn't know what to do. Like I don't want anyone trying to fucking fuck me. Like, you know what I mean? That was like my mindset.
For sure.
So I ended up like getting more comfortable, obviously like becoming like good friends with like people in the club. So I had worked there during day shift, and then I worked at another club for night shift. So I remember working like fucking 12 plus. I think I worked 16 hours that day, and I loved it. I fucking loved this shit.
Dang.
16 hours. You know how much I made? Guess. In in the Bay Area, yeah, San Francisco. No.
I mean, it's either Oakland or it's San Francisco.
Yeah, San Francisco. I'm not working in Oakland.
Yeah,
I
no
don't even know
shit.
if there's any strip clubs in Oakland.
There probably is, but no shit.
Anyway, continue.
I'm gonna say $2,500
No, I made 1,000. I made a little over 1,000.
for 16 hours.
Yes,
Not
but
worth
me,
it.
I was just like,
Not
damn,
worth
I
it.
never met. But
How old
again,
were you at this time? 21?
21.
Yeah.
No,
22?
no, I think I was 20. No, 21. I was 20 or 21 because I started dancing in September of 2018, which I was 20 at the time. I
Okay.
turned 21 2 months later, so I think I was 21. But I moved to Vegas in February of 2019, so I was barely 21.
Did you move there solely just to strip in
Yes.
Vegas?
Everything was just.
So did you go? So that lady that told you about the club in Vegas that you needed to work at, did you go test it out first? And
Yes.
then once you got the job, you moved all your shit and started.
Yes.
Damn.
Exactly.
That's pretty
So
wild.
basically, she said that, and me, I'm the type of person like someone tells me something, I'm gonna like look into it. Like I'm
Yeah,
not
of
gonna
course.
write it off. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like she had nothing to like gain from telling me that.
Yeah,
really.
you're a pretty open-minded person.
Yeah, so I went and I looked it up. I looked into it, and there was this site. Fuck, I literally forgot the site. I think it's like stripperweb.com.
Solid site.
And now
Solid
they have this app called like Dancer's Resource, but I don't know how accurate it is. I've never really like used it to find clubs, but you can go onto these sites and you can go and you can see reviews of clubs from other dancers and customers and like their rating and like how much dances cost and like how much rooms go for and things like that.
So what you're saying is we should develop an app that's better than that one that does the same thing but a little bit more. That'd be a good idea with menus
That
and stuff.
is good.
With menus,
Yeah, that's good.
that would be a good idea.
Okay.
We'll talk about that off air.
Off air.
Off
Yeah,
air.
sure.
We'll
Call it
do-
Slut Talk or Slut Web.
No, it needs to be an app. It
Stripper
needs to be.
web.
I don't know.
Okay,
We'll
anyway,
talk
so
about it later. We'll talk
anyway, so I started looking into it, and it looked like a great club. Like it's like the best club in the fucking city or whatever.
Yeah.
So I go in
In
December.
Vegas.
I go in December of 2018, right
You
before the
just
new
turned
year.
21.
Maybe it was right. Yeah, I had turned 21. I was already 21 for like a month. I went there like around the new year, right? So like around the
Okay.
new year going into 2019. And they told me, like, because I was under 25, you know, I like looked into everything. You got to bring your passport, you got to bring your social security, and you got to get like a
Dang.
sheriff's card, like in order to work in Vegas.
Oh yeah, I've heard about that.
So I go there and I fucking like you have to get a referral. So you have to go in and you have to basically walk in. You say, hey, I want to work here. Depending on the type of club, they'll look at you and they'll say, okay, here's your referral, or maybe they'll make you go and get into a two-piece, and then if you look good, they'll give you a referral, or if you know somebody, they'll give you a referral, or they'll
Yeah.
just turn you away and they won't give you a referral. Meaning you can't get a sheriff's card until you get a referral from a club. You got to go to a different club to get
really?
a referral. But if you get a referral and you go to the sheriff's department, you get a sheriff's card, that sheriff's card is basically good for all the main clubs. But depending on like the county or the area, you may have to get a different sheriff's card. It depends. But the main clubs require one.
Is there some clubs you don't need a sheriff's card?
No. You have to have
You have
something
to
for
have
every
one, okay.
single, every club. Every
That
club
makes
requires
sense.
something legally. Anyways, so I go on like a Friday and I get my referral. I go to that club. They give me a referral. They're like, yeah, here you go. I go to the sheriff's department to get, I'm like looking online again just to make sure I have everything. And it says
Yeah.
you have to have your birth certificate if you're under 25. I was under 25.
Yeah.
So I was like, bro, I don't have my fucking birth certificate. I'm not about to go home. Like, I think I had like $500 in my account or some shit. I don't remember. I was like, bro, I can't go home. And I was going to go to DR to see my boyfriend at the time. Literally like 3 days later, right after the weekend. So I'm like, I can only work these 2 days. I have no fucking money. Like, what am I going to do?
DR, like Dominican Republic?
Dominican Republic,
okay.
yeah. I was going to go to Dominican Republic. He was visiting his family there. So I was going to fly out like on a Sunday. I already booked my flight from Vegas to DR, okay? I could not work.
Yeah.
So I called my mom's boyfriend because I was living with my mom and her boyfriend at the time in Sacramento.
Yep.
And I was like, hey, because at the time I also was assisting like a photographer. Like I was his like social media assistant, so I was assisting him. And the reason I would I would go to San Francisco every day, right? Like I'd leave the morning at like 7 a.m. I'd go from my house to San Francisco.
It's like what, 2 hour drive?
Yes, every day.
Mm-hmm.
I had to be at work by like 11 a.m. and then I would come home at night by like 9 p.m. And mom would be like, where were you all day? Like I'm like, oh, I was in the city in San Francisco. She's like, why? And I'm like, yeah, so the photographer that I work for, he has a lot of jobs out there. He's starting to get into videography. We have a lot of shoots and videos and stuff.
So, like, nobody knew that you were a stripper.
No one knew.
For 4 years.
No one knew.
One person knew.
2 people knew.
Two
My
people knew.
ex-boyfriend and one of my close friends.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's wild to me.
I know,
I don't know how you kept it a secret for 4 years.
Yeah, fucking crazy. Anyway, so...
Because you're a nobody. You got no friends.
Yeah, basically. So I call my mom's boyfriend. I'm like, hey, I need you to overnight my birth certificate. And I'm like telling him where to fucking find it in like my shoebox.
Did you go check at the sheriff's department first? To, like,
no,
make sure?
This is the fucking problem,
man.
Keith. So I saw it online. You need to have your fucking birth certificate.
You should have went double checked in person.
I overnighted that shit. I had him overnight it. He's like, why do you need your birth certificate? I'm like, I'm in Vegas. We're here for like a movie. And because I need to get paid for it, they need my birth certificate.
I don't know how you convinced them to do
I don't know either. But he did it. He didn't ask too many questions. He was like, all right, whatever. So overnights it. I go to the sheriff's department Saturday during the day. This is the only day I can work. I could only work Friday and Saturday. I missed Friday already because I fucking thought I had to have my birth certificate.
Yep.
Go on Saturday. I'm like, hey, I didn't give him the birth certificate right away. I was like, what do you need from me? He was like, oh, just your passport and social. I said, you don't need my birth certificate? He's like, no. I was like, I was so fucking pissed. Sorry if I scream busy. But I was so fucking pissed, bro. I was like, I'm just going to make the most of tonight. That night was the only night I got to work in Vegas. Like, that was my first taste. I made over $2,000 in, like, fucking 5 hours. And I was like, I'm moving here. And then I moved, like, a month later.
Wow.
And that's how Vegas came about.
How was the DR, though?
DR was cool. I mean, it was great. I felt great because I had 2 fucking bands. I'm like, now I'm up 2 bands. Perfect, you know? And I'm over here thinking I'm on top of the world. Like, it's just so funny. Like, I think back to, like, when I was dancing and how money motivated I was, but at the same time, how I was so willing to walk away from certain situations. You know what I mean? But at the same time, like, it's really helped me a lot in my business career moving away from dancing, and how I remember I've had multiple opportunities to basically, like, with what I do now, in regards to, like, consulting and locating. Yeah. Aside from just my arbitrage business and, like, Airbnb, like, the consulting and locating in that space. Yeah. Basically, like, I have money opportunities all the time, and I'm not attached to the money at all. Like, I remember I got, like, some opportunity to do a consulting job, and I was negotiating with them. I was in negotiations. And my ex was helping me because he's, like, all into, like, negotiation. He fucking has all these skills. He fucking killed it. He really helped me get that shit. Mo. Shout out to Mo. Okay. Anyways. But basically, he was like, so what do you want? And I was like, honestly, if they say no to this and they give me any number lower than this, I'm fine with walking away. Yeah. Like, I don't want to put in the work for anything lower than this. And he was like, okay. And then we end up getting it. And it's like, really? Damn. So I wasn't attached to the money at all. And I'm not attached to the money at all for anything. Because I just realized, like, there's so much money out there. Like, I just feel like if you really know who you are, you know who you want to be, you know what you want to accomplish, you're not going to be attached to any specific result because you know that something better is around the corner just because of who you've become, you know, and the person that you are. So stripping really helped me a lot with that because it's all about the money all the time. It's all about the finesse, all about the finagling or whatever, you know? Like, you want to secure that bag. What's my bag? You want to secure the bag. But
I don't even know how to respond to you sometimes. Too much.
Yeah. So,
but yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
I guess stripping is all about securing.
I mean, it is, but I always try to, like, learn something from it. That's another reason why I would write these reflections, because when I had a bad night, or even if I had a great night, I'm always like overthinking shit. If maybe I said something wrong to somebody, or if maybe I made somebody feel some type of way, if I had an altercation with a female, or
you think
if
it's gonna come back around type thing, or what?
I don't necessarily. Well, there's been some situations where I made some mistakes, or I basically finessed the fuck out of someone, like you know.
It did come back around.
I think it comes back around in different ways, but at the same time, if I'm always looking to get better from the situation, I'm prepared for whatever happens.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's
like
gonna.
you realize it right when it happens. And
Yeah. And
Makes sense.
and sometimes like I've had situations where I've like gotten too drunk, or like I finessed somebody, or like I've made a lot of money and I knew that I kind of pressured somebody, where I will literally think about it for like days.
Yeah.
Like I'll think about it for days. I'll feel fucking sick. Like I'll have to talk about it. I have to vent. Like I have to get it out, because if not, like it's just gonna build up in my mind and I'm not gonna get better. So that's like why I would write these most of the time. Is more so just for me.
That's what happened when I first got into sales. Is my first sales job, I was selling a product that I did not believe in,
What
and that
product?
I knew was
You don't have to say the
people
company.
over. No, I don't even want to talk about it.
Okay.
But it was really
This
tough
man
for
has
me.
trauma.
It was really tough for me to sell some stuff. So I made the job after that. Every sales job I had after that, I was making sure that I was like, it was a product or a service that was actually adding value to somebody, and I wasn't just taking their money for nothing. So yeah. I can relate to that a little bit, but
yeah, no, that's
but not
good.
in the same way as you.
No, I feel it. And
Definitely not the same
It's
way.
funny as fuck because before I was stripping, I was technically in sales. Like I was in network marketing.
You were in a
I was
network
in a
marketing, multi-level marketing company, which
multi-level
isn't
marketing
even
company.
really sales. It's more.
Yeah, it's recruiting, but you're selling, right? Like I would.
Yeah, there's a selling portion for sure.
It's all everything is sales. Everything is sales. I had to sell you to let you watch or keep my dog in your hotel room tonight. I had to sell.
No, you didn't. There was just no other
Izzy
way.
on waiting for me.
I was forced to. Yeah, you did. Well, you paid
I
him,
had
so
to
it's a little
tell him.
different.
Sales, okay? There's a sale going
Technically,
on.
he sold you to be the videographer.
That's fine.
For this.
I mean, shit. Izzy deserves everything.
Izzy's a
so
G.
great.
Izzy's a G.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, so I actually was on my Facebook yesterday because I do a lot of my messaging there with like clients, and I went back through my Facebook profile and I looked at all the old live videos that I would do of like, hey guys, well, I would try to get clients and like customers and shit when I was in MLM.
Really?
So
On
they
Facebook
were,
Live?
bro. I tried
Ooh,
everything.
that's
Okay,
cringy.
like I know,
Yeah.
so cringe. I was watching, I was like, ew,
Yeah.
this is so cringe.
I remember right out of high school, so many people did so many MLMs, and I mean, I was a victim too. But there was just so many like the girls doing there was one that was like, I can't remember, but there was so many girls that I went to high school with or that grew up in my area that did the same business, and they would always post on social media about it, and it was cringy.
I feel like I know what you're talking about. The green one.
Yeah, what was it called?
I don't remember, but
I don't remember the name,
yeah, but I know you're
But it was
talking
some
about.
like fitness /
Yeah.
yeah. Anyways,
So,
irrelevant.
I
Just
was
funny,
I was
funny to
watching
watch.
these videos though, and I just was like, that wasn't even me back then. Like I was faking everything. I was faking everything. I was not who I said I was. Like
You were a different person back then.
yeah,
right?
but at the same
Like-
time, I knew I was. Like I would be like, how to do this, how to do that, and I'm like, bitch, I'm not even doing it. Like, whose man's is this? You know what I mean?
No, that
So
makes
it's
sense.
like-
I don't know. I look back on when I was in an MLM, and like, I think if it wasn't for that portion of like that experience, I wouldn't be in the business as I am today.
Yeah.
You know, like it definitely helped shape like my outlook on business and money and all those things. Even though it was like, in the end, like it didn't work out or was a bad experience, whatever. I
Yeah.
still gained a lot from it. So
Yeah,
I feel like you did too. even
Yeah,
though-
100%. No, I'm just saying like those lives, like all the shit that I would try
Yeah,
to
cringy.
like
Definitely, yeah,
to
definitely
get to
not
the
you.
next rank, or the next level. I'm just like,
To get that leased
ew.
car.
I'm like, ew.
Did they lease a car?
Yeah, I got a fucking car. Okay,
Oh,
I
you did?
sold. Yeah, I got a free car. For a
No.
while until I started
Until
dropping
you had to-
ranks, then I had to pay for that shit.
Really?
Yeah.
Isn't it like leased or something? You got to take up the lease.
No, you
payments
don't have to.
eventually?
I financed it. Yeah. So anyway, it doesn't matter. I couldn't pay for the fucking payments. Like I was like not making any money.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever told anyone this except for like one person. I used to go to the bank, like not the
Plasma
plasma bank.
donation.
Bro,
I knew you were gonna
I
say
would
that.
do
I knew
plasma
you-
donations to make money.
So many people who did that. Yeah, I never.
It's so I think about it, and I went so many times. I still have like a little mark. People probably think I did drugs or some shit.
Yeah.
But I'm like,
I've looked into it, but when I heard it takes like 4 hours plus, I was like,
No,
count
it
me out.
doesn't.
Yeah, it does.
maybe to make like however much you're trying to make, but shit, I was real quick.
How long?
I don't remember, but they gave me snacks.
Yeah, because you got to keep you alive in that chair.
Bro, I just remember driving around in that fucking Mercedes that was paid for and just like
flexing on the haters.
More like fucking depressed.
What was it? C-Class?
It was
Mercedes?
a CLA 250.
Oh, those are
like that. I don't
ugly.
remember. It's like the little. It's like $20,000 car.
Ugly.
Anyways, yeah, but it's. I was like proud of it in the moment, and then when I started dropping ranks and like my whole team left me, I was like, this sucks.
Typical network marketing for you.
Literally, yeah. But
Team
I'm
gets
so
out.
grateful for it. Like everything that it's developed me to be. Like every
Agreed.
chapter is something different, you know, and it's like new levels, new devils.
Yeah, imagine
right?
who you'd be if you never became a stripper.
I'd probably. I don't fucking know, but either way, I would have figured it out.
Yeah.
I just know.
Well, you would have never lived you would have never lived in Vegas.
Who knows? Maybe I would have
never made the friends and connections you made in Vegas. You know.
Yeah.
It's
But
crazy to think
I'm
about.
grateful for everything, you know. I think everything happens for a reason. It happens as it's supposed to, and you know, you control what you can control.
Yeah.
So.
100%.
Yeah. Anyways, this was fun, Keith. Definitely
was.
gotta have you back on the podcast for the next one. Maybe we'll bring some strippers on so we can like get you a lap dance.
Oh man. Whatever happens, it happens.
Yeah.
I'll come back when the podcast is renamed, and
God.
when we're in a bigger room too.
You don't like this? This isn't that small.
Then
This is cozy.
I feel like by the next time I come on, you're gonna have your own podcast studio. You're not gonna be
Ooh,
in a place like this.
let's speak that into existence. I love you. Thanks.
Yeah, likewise.
I appreciate that. Likewise, this guy, vice versa.
I'm not about to say I love you back on camera, so.
Oh, because he's got too many bitches, right?
No.
He's got hoes to.
No,
he's
I
got
don't.
hoes to impress.
No, I've been a good boy.
I doubt that. All right. Anyways,
Sorry.
we'll end it on that note.
How do you usually
Light
end
the
this?
beam!
How do you end it with light the beam
No,
or
I'm
secure the
just
bag?
Secure the bag, but only because the Kings are playing and I really hope they win.
Yep.
Anyways, I
Game
got my
6.
nails, like, they're little light purple, just in case the Kings win. But if they don't, it's okay because it's not that much.
We're gonna be downtown, so if they win, they're gonna light the beam.
They're going to light the
You
fucking
can put
beam.
your nails and take a picture with the beam.
Yeah, literally. I can go like this. Light the beam.
Yeah, get fucked.
Get fucked. Anyways, thank you guys for hopping on. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, drop any type of questions, name suggestions of the podcast if you
Yup.
don't like Secure the Bag, which, I mean, you guys, I spent $500+ on this fucking
She
sign.
got
You better
ripped.
like
She
that
got ripped
fucking
off.
shit.
She got ripped off.
Look, she's on a pole.
I mean-
She's on a pole with the money sign. Like, come on.
It's
with
cool.
a bag.
With the
Doesn't get
bag.
better than that.
It should have been like. Never mind.
Okay,
The
we'll
bag
talk
should
about
have
it.
looked different.
Ooh,
Monopoly
okay.
bag
Thanks,
emoji.
guys. See you on the next one.